Father, I just pray that the conversation that Justin and I have today doesn't fall on deaf ears. Justin, I pray over you that God gives you the downloads you need on this show, that he gives you the wisdom, the discernment of knowing what it is you're meant to impart into us today. I pray that we're making the world a better place because we are willing to raise our hand and say, God, call on us.
Thank you for today and being with my brother in Jesus' name.
Amen. It was October 22nd, 2021. It was a cloudy, stormy day in Long Beach, California. There were 3 friends that set out on an adventure and a journey to take 2 jet skis across 30 plus miles of open, wavy water to Catalina Island, where they would embark on a journey to stay on the northern part of the island that they didn't know was covered in rocks and not sands. And these 3 men set out on this journey that changed their life forever. Those 3 men were myself, Justin Maina, and Noah Shank. And today I'm joined by Justin Maina, and we're going to take you on a journey that changed our lives, a journey that helped us find peace in the midst of chaos. So as we set out on those jet skis, what happened next?
Well, we became the Breakthrough Beach Brothers.
Yeah, we did.
What a fun adventure. I love the intro, so different, and it makes me want to go back again because when men do hard things, things shift in their life if they're open to it.
So good. So we're going to take you guys through the journey that changed our lives. We're going to do something a little bit different today. And then we're going to get into the fear hunter himself. We're going to overcome some fears. But because I have a life-changing journey and friendship with my guest today, I wanted to share it with you guys. I didn't want to be selfish because Justin, I think you as much as I know how special this trip was and the impact that it made on our lives, especially in a time I think we all needed it in the middle of COVID and the height of everything going on. So I want to kind of ping pong back and forth on this, right? So how did we come up with this crazy idea to start with?
I knew I wanted to do something epic for my birthday, but sometimes it can be overwhelming to think of planning an event. And as you know, this event just kind of unfolded just a few days before it actually happened because there was shout out to Wojtek, who is the guy.
Which is the coolest name ever.
Coolest guy. Just got off the phone with him just a few days ago because I'm in a couple of days from now, I look forward to taking a jet ski out for an entire day just to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But anyway, he was a man crazy enough to entrust his 2 jet skis with 3 complete strangers. And we'll find out if that was a good decision or not. But regardless, he allowed us to be able to go on an adventure that was put on my heart. And I zoomed out on Catalina Island. First of all, you guys, for those of you who have MacBooks, you know that Catalina, the operating system, that is Catalina Island, that remote island that you see that looks very pristine and just rugged. That is Catalina Island. And then when I first saw that on my laptop, I thought, I don't know where that is in the world, but I want to go there. So finally, when I discovered that was Catalina Island off the coast of Long Beach, I needed to go there. So I zoomed in on a remote area where it looked like it was very sandy. At least it looked sandier than any other part of the island, but it was very remote. And I just thought, I need to find a jet ski and I need to take a couple of my friends.
Yeah, so guys, Justin shares this things, they want to go on this journey, and our buddy Noah, he'd also been wanting to do something like crazy. And for those of you that know California, those that you don't, it's an island that's about 33 miles long off of kind of the LA Long Beach area. And a lot of people go there, but the northern part of the island, it's not very inhabited at all. There's not a lot built on it. And these guys are crazy and hey, we want to take jet skis across the open water, which nobody does. Nobody takes jet skis 30 something miles out into open ocean to go to an island.
How are you even going to be able to get back? Are you going to have enough gas? We researched that. We got jet skis that had, I think, 19-gallon tanks. So it would be enough to get there. And then we knew Avalon was not too far away to be able to get back.
Yeah. So guys, we go to head out on this thing, and it finally comes together in the last few days. They find the jet skis with Wojtek on, I think, Facebook. And we end up booking these jet skis to go. And it's kind of crazy because I remember showing up in I want you guys to imagine this with me. So there's 3 dudes, full-grown men, only 2 jet skis. And then all of the gear we're trying to bring to the island to like have tents and sleeping bags and like med kits in case we get injured.
For 3 days.
And water for 3 days. And also we decided we were going to fast through this trip and not eat food and only drink water. We wanted it to challenge us. I remember the day we show up and it's like there's the 2 jet skis. He rolls up and we're getting ready and like our buddy Noah like overpacks, has this massive duffel bag that's like the size of 3 duffel bags.
150 pounds.
You know, like 150-pound duffel bag. And it's crazy because we are engineering how we're even going to get all the stuff we're trying to bring onto these jet skis. Because jet skis aren't exactly built to like carry luggage.
I think we were thinking like a boat storage. But I mean, when you look at the capacity of these jet skis, there's not much space to put things. And we realized we had far too many things and we had to
discard stuff and kind of pick what we're going to bring. And it takes probably an hour plus to get these jet skis like packed the way that we think we can. Were you the one that got the solo with the bag?
I got the solo. We all had to draw straws to figure out who was going to be lucky enough to take the one jet ski by themselves. But there was a caveat to that. But
yeah, and you had the 150-pound duffel bag.
That and all the water that was stuffed in the very front of the jet ski, which when I first started, it was underwater. It was underwater, and I'm like, I've got a long way to go. I have to keep this jet ski going a little bit above minimum wake, which was required, going through the bay. But I had to keep that thing running a good amount so that the nose would not dunk underwater.
Yeah, and it gets better, guys. So the day we go, all of a sudden a storm advisory comes in, and they're like big waves, like all this stuff. There's like surf advisory, storm advisory. The sky, remember, it was like dark and cloudy. And we're like, you got to make decisions. Like, are we still going to go? And we're like, yeah, we're still going to go. Oh my God. And I think like that year, it was like one of the worst storms that Catalina got hit with.
Yeah, the highest storm surge they've ever had of the year came the very next day.
Yeah. So guys, we take these jet skis and it's like 30 miles to get to Catalina and the waves are pretty big. And I would say the trip over was actually really cool. There were scary moments, I think, in the balancing of the jet skis and the weight and like, oh my God, we're like in the middle of the ocean.
Readjusting that huge bag because you go over a few waves and it starts to shift and we're having to make sure we strap this down properly or we're going to lose it.
Yeah. So to speed it up, one beautiful moment, pods of dolphins came alongside us. Everywhere. It was probably the coolest, most beautiful moment of the whole trip. I mean, there must have been 50 dolphins swimming around us. So this really cool thing. And for me, at least, I felt like we were in like a Jurassic Park movie as we came up to this island. So Justin, we get across and kind of take us through what happens next because adversity starts to hit us pretty fast.
Yeah. And first, just before we continue, just want to remind people 30 miles is a long distance. Like we started going for a long bit. We encounter these dolphins and then we realized we're not even like a fifth of the way there. We need to stop looking at the dolphins and just get there. So anyway, a lot longer than I anticipated. I think it was maybe close to 3 hours or something, but it
was a journey to be in the middle of an ocean on a jet ski at times and the waves get big and you
can't even see the shore. You couldn't see Catalina Island. I mean, especially because of the fog. And then when you get far out enough, you can't see mainland. And it's just like, all right, well, I'm relying on my GPS to, get me to that point. So anyway, we got there and I know we got to the spot and one of the biggest surprises was how this beach was not sandy. It was very rocky.
It was all rocks. Rocks on rocks on rocks, like rough rocks.
Sorry, Wojtek.
Sorry, bud. So then we try to find a spot to camp. And we do find this beautiful cove. It's a really cool spot. It was like what Justin saw on the map. And it's so cool because if you guys have had the MacBook, I think it was the Catalina one, the update they had, there was the island you would see on there. You're seeing the northern tip of the island. So to the left side of that, on the western side of it, in there a little bit, you might even be able to see the back part of it on the picture. We literally camped.
Well, on the inside. So we're on the east side, the inner side.
Not facing towards California.
Yep.
And so Justin, we found this spot and it's all rocks, but then it's the waves are really big. There's a storm surge coming in and we got to figure out what to do with these jet skis. So what did we do?
We argued about who had the best method of taking these jet skis up this inclined beach. And it took us so long to move these jet skis. They're 900 pounds with the gas and they had our stuff on them. So It was so difficult to move this up, and I don't know, maybe it took an hour and a half.
Yeah, and the thing was like, so we're like, oh, we're going to bring the jet skis up, 10, 15 feet up onto the rocky beach. It's pretty steep incline, and we took these bags that they had. The only anchors they had were like sandbags.
It was a bag that was so small, and it had like a 6-foot rope. That's what we had as an anchor.
So and Justin spends all this time digging this hole. Like, I think we put rocks in it, and
we got a huge rock that we just buried. We tied a rope around it. We anchored that, and then we had another rope that we tied to another rock. I mean, we did everything we could to secure this jet ski.
All right, guys, so we do this and we go to secure these jet skis, right? And we set up our tents, we get our camp set up, we're kind of exploring the island, like it's pretty cool. Well, then the adversity comes because the storm hits that night and it's raining and the waves are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think when we looked at the report, they got up to like 8 feet. The storm surge is bad. It's coming up and it's about midnight. And the thing about Justin is Justin loves to joke and he's a big jokester.
No, get out of
So he comes in, I'm sleeping with Noah. We're in a tent. Justin's in another tent. And he's like, guys, the jet skis are gone. And I'm like, Justin, stop, bro. It's like midnight. Just go to bed.
Yeah, I was done at that point. I just knew they were gone. Something woke me up, and I felt led to like check on the jet skis.
So he's like, no, the jet skis are gone. And I'm like, what do you mean the jet skis are gone? So we go out there, and our jet skis, and all the time Justin took to dig the anchor in there and all that, guys, it's pitch dark. We have flashlights. And our jet skis that we're borrowing that aren't ours, that are worth like 20 grand a piece, are gone.
And the fact that, we have these jet skis, and they, by the way, just for the record, they were brought up more than 10, 15 feet. We brought them up as high as we possibly
could. We brought them up as far as we could.
Yeah, we definitely did.
So imagine this, guys. You're and by the way, I don't even think we're supposed to be camping on the northern part of the island. Like
this is in theory we did this.
In theory,
yeah.
For the California government,
yeah.
And National Guard or whatever. But so we're like on this part of the island. No one knows we're here. We're like pulling this thing off fasting. There's a storm hitting, and the jet skis that we borrowed that are worth 20 grand a pop are gone. And then it's like that, oh shit moment. Like, what do we do? And there was so much, like, as you can imagine between us, we're all trying to figure out what to do. So Justin, what happened next?
So I knew I needed to try to find a high point and try to see if I can spot these jet skis. So I took a flashlight and I tried climbing up one of the cliffs.
While it's raining.
And I did that before easily, but I could not believe how difficult it was to get up there in the rain. There were a few times that I thought I will definitely die if I continue. So I had to reroute. I couldn't quite find the same route. Eventually I was able to figure out how to get up there. Very dangerous. But from that high point, I looked around everywhere and I could not see this jet ski anywhere. By the way, the other jet ski we did find, it was pushed up against the rocks.
So like the rocks of the cliffs, when we arrived at the beach that we camped on, the rocks really, it was probably like 35, 40 feet up there. And the water came all the way up to one of the jet skis was bashing against the rocks in the back. The other one we couldn't find at all. So I think this is a cool point though to tell in this story. Noah wanted to go out. And Noah got a big breakthrough because he's a firefighter, guys. He's used to always saving the day, putting his life on the line. And me and Justin had to just stop him and be like, dude, no, like we value your life more than a jet ski.
It was like 2 a.m. at that point because we were looking all around and what do we do? And he really wanted to go out there and like you said, we valued his life more than this jet ski. And we thought, hey, we'll figure it out. Let's just go to bed. Let's have peace knowing that in the morning, an hour before, let's just read the word. Let's worship.
And this is cool because we did. So the one jet ski that was left, there was like a higher point where our tents are. We pulled it up as far as we could. It was really hard to do. We're probably going to bed around like 2:30, 3 a.m. in the morning. It's still storming. And that was such a good point you just said because we all said, you know what? God's got us. Mm-hmm. We asked God for peace in the midst of chaos, and immediately God gave us chaos. And so we wake up the next day, guys, and we pray, and we worship, and we get into the Word. We don't jump up and go, where's the jet ski? We surrendered to God and prayed. So then what happened after that?
So we prayed, worshiped, read the word. We were at peace knowing that, hey, we're trusting you, God. And by the way, it was cold. And it was
freezing.
It was freezing. But we got up and then we geared up the jet ski. The three of us were like, all right, let's get on this thing. Very wobbly.
So 3 dudes on one jet ski. I just want you guys to picture this. 3 grown men on one jet ski going to find the next jet ski. And I will say this next part, because when you seek God first, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. Matthew 6:33. When you seek God truly, even in the worst of moments in your life, God will speak to you. And I got a download. And I literally heard from God, the jet ski's down on the shore on the right. And I told Justin and Noah, and Noah was wanting to go left and start like a search and be strategic, and let's go to the northern part of the island and work back. And what he was doing was logical. Like, it was totally probably the right thing to do. But God spoke to me and he said, no, the jet ski's down there on the right. And then we go out, what happens?
As soon as we go out, like I would say within 30 seconds, maybe even quicker than that, you look to the right and it's up there.
It's a red speck, like a mile down, like in these rocks.
So we start heading over there, and then all of a sudden there wasn't really much. Have you ever been in a situation where like you knew what to do, but it wasn't really explained? We knew something was about to go down. So Noah started speeding up to the island, and then instinctively, like it was
like some Navy SEAL stuff.
Yeah. So like we were both, Cody and I were in the back of the jet ski, and Noah was beelining it to the shore, and then he knew he needed to cut left really quick, and then both of us needed to jump off. Like there was no discussion about this beforehand. We just knew this is what needed to be done, and then we would like just like.
And I want to take a moment to depict to them what we saw, because it wasn't like the jet ski was just up on the beach and let's go grab it. It was somehow over these big rocks, wedged between them, bashing back and forth, probably because the storm surge, picked the jet ski up, carried it to rocks. The swell started coming down, so the jet ski was wedged in between rocks, and it was dangerous. I mean, there's still good 5-foot waves bashing these rocks. The jet ski's rocking everywhere. It's a heavy jet ski, and it was just like the 3 of us were so in sync instinctively. Like our adrenaline is pumping full blood. Noah turns and me and Justin just eye contact and just nod. And I'll never forget, as soon as we get to the rocks, the waves are so bad and the current that like if your leg got stuck between a rock and a wave hit you, it'd probably snap your leg. And Justin just looks at me, he's like, crawl like a seal, crawl like a seal. Like, don't get your legs caught in the rocks, crawl on your belly.
So we just started like flopping over these rocks and finally got to the jet ski, and then we're trying to maneuver this jet ski, but then one of the anchor lines was stuck around another rock, so I'm having to unclip that. Finally freed the jet ski, but then we had to wait for a big wave to come by, as it would like just knock us like 5 feet off.
And guys, like we could have gotten so injured. Like these waves are massive. We're out trying to time it. We're trying to wait for enough water to get under it to pick it up over a rock, but we're also not trying to get stuck between the jet ski and a rock. And it's crazy. So what happens after that?
So we somehow figured out how to time that we had to hold on to the jet ski or a rock while a wave pushed us back. So if we didn't anchor ourselves every time a wave hit, we would be there all day, because the waves were so powerful. So we anchored ourselves. Once the wave hit, then we just maneuvered it, finally got it out. This thing was so beat up. It was like half underwater, and we just knew we needed to get this thing to the closest harbor, which was 2 harbors, right?
2 harbors, yeah. And 2 harbors was...
I think it was like 5 miles away.
Yeah, probably about like 5 miles, but we're praying.
It's an eternity.
You're on the jet ski, and you get it to start.
That was a miracle, because I know when you have a jet ski that's water lodged and you're trying to pull that with another jet ski with 2 dudes on it, that thing is going slower than a half mile an hour. And I just remember thinking, we're going to be here for hours.
Yeah, because we're towing at this point.
Yeah, and it keeps on, it keeps on, the rope keeps on like getting messed up. It's just weird. Finally, I just remember praying, saying, God, if there's any way to get this thing to start. And I tell you what, it was crazy, because the engine was underwater. It was insane. And somehow it started, but it would only go a little bit past idle. But it was enough to be able to allow the bilge pump to pump out some water. And we were able to move very slowly. Now, then we could let go of the rope. And of course, Noah and Cody just, after like an hour or so, like they're just going out, ripping it around. And I'm just going so slow on this jet ski along the coast, thinking, man, Like they're out there. Wait, anything could happen. It just starts sinking. I'm just gonna just hang out there and wait for them.
No,
to come.
we weren't that far away, but like we're on a fully operatable jet
and I have
ski.
to keep my hand on this throttle the entire time. I'm trying to think of how can I get my bandana.
So let's all right. So we get to Two Harbors, and it's a miracle because the jet ski ends up dying just as you're coming in. Literally,
right before I got in.
God story, guys. Like we're just getting into the harbor by the dock. The jet ski Justin's on dies, so we had to like still get it up on like the beach and stuff, and it will not start again.
Yeah, we saw a beautiful rainbow too. Just we're like, how far is this?
Yeah.
We saw one that morning, and we saw one just like right after
we saw a rainbow right when we woke up.
Yep.
And guys, a rainbow is a sign of the covenant from God. And I remember being like, guys, that's a sign from God. Like we're good. We're covered.
Yep.
We're under his covenant. Rainbow when we get to Two Harbors. So just all these things are happening. So guys, we have this jet ski that's like broken. That's not ours. And we're in Two Harbors and we're fasting and we're like just in wetsuits and freezing cold. And we have to like figure out what we're going to do. So I think we went up and we were trying to find a mechanic. We were trying to find out how to fix it. We were going through all this stuff.
Nobody can fix it.
Nobody can fix it. And they're like, no, you got to tow it back to the mainland. And it's like $3-4 grand to tow a jet ski like 30 miles.
Yeah. So it was very expensive. And then people were like, hey, why don't you just sink it, and allow insurance to cover it, which was not even a possibility.
That's not integrity, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we're going to do this right. We're going to figure it out. So we talked to this company, the tow company, and I used to do fiberglass work on underground swimming pools. And it was fiberglass. That's what jet skis are. I'm like, well, theoretically, couldn't we patch the holes in it, get it to float well, and tow it back across? So there's moments throughout this trip that felt like missions. It felt from one mission to the next, right?
Yep.
Like first mission, let's get across the water. Next mission, let's find our campsite. Then it's like, let's get these jet skis up. Then let's find this jet ski that's lost and broken. Then let's get it to Two Harbors. And now we're like, it's broke. What do we do now? Well, we need it to float. We can't leave it here. So we call this company and they have, I can't remember what it's called, but it's
Splash Zone or something like that.
Yeah, some kind of like, and they charged us like $400 for it, guys.
They said it was $500 a gallon, but they gave you some sort of discount, which was like...
They gave me a smaller amount that would be enough to patch the holes. So I got to take the good jet ski, and Two Harbors, I probably had to go, I don't know, maybe like 15, 20 miles. It was a long time.
Yep.
I remember feeling like I was on a Navy SEAL mission, trying to beat the sun going down to get to Avalon, to buy this stuff, to get back, to patch the jet ski in time so we can get it floating and move it. And so I go down there. It's a pain in the neck getting the stuff from the guys. They're giving me a hard time, trying to charge me more money. I finally get it. I get on the jet ski. I fly back, and I want you guys to picture this. Like I'm going 60 on this jet ski, and these waves are like 5, and the waves are getting bigger, 5, 6, 7 feet, and it's like boom, and I'm like in the air. My legs are dangling behind me on the jet ski, and the whole time I'm just thinking about you and Noah. I'm like, my bros need me. Like I can't let them down. Like I can't waste a second. Every second that I waste, they're miserable right now, right back there, and like we're just trying to figure this out. So I finally get back. Dude, we patched that thing so fast, bro.
It took a few hours though. Like just getting it all.
We did it in like an hour, bro. Because remember we mixed it with the water and we started spreading it and we evened out, and I showed you guys the technique. And it had to dry.
Yeah. So I'm including the dry time. So we got that thing down. It looked great. I mean, it was all busted up, like the sides, the back, the side view mirror. It was the center console was all popped out, and there was just water in the engine.
But we did pretty good for what we did. Did we buy another battery?
We did buy a battery because we thought that might have been what maybe got corroded.
We changed. We put a new battery. We patched the holes. We thought we could get it to start. We couldn't. I'm gonna skip a little ahead because we could kill some time here. But because that night was the scariest night of my life. Like
it was the best night.
It was the best night of my life. But what happened after?
So we knew that we needed to get back to our site because we needed to first get back there, sleep, because you can't just sleep anywhere.
And all our gear is there.
Yeah. So we needed to get back there, sleep, get all of our stuff, bring it back to that jet ski. Hopefully in the morning when it dries, we can have it and we can both ride both jet skis back. But anyway, the sun was just setting and we realized we need to get back to that campsite, and we got on this jet ski.
Three dudes.
3 dudes. I was riding, but the swells were just increasing.
So I got to take a moment, like, to depict this. So just so you guys know what happened with the other jet ski, Noah and Justin found a very nice man that let us leave the jet ski on his property up on the beach. We had to pull it up there. So thank you to that man. He
had a vehicle to help tow it to bring it up.
He did. He helped bring it up.
There's no way we would have been able to bring it up. It was even steeper.
So, like, thank God for Good Samaritans. So 3 dudes again on this jet ski, but it's getting dark. It's like that like dark feeling right before it gets dark, and it's like kind of like mysterious. And the waves are just like rollers.
Really big.
Like 8-9 foot rollers in the ocean. It was so sketchy. Like, I literally the whole time, like, I'm like, we better not, like, if we tip this is gonna suck.
It's over because you have kelp, scattered throughout around the island. You have rock formations, and it's dark. You can't really see that well. So we were doing our best to look.
So we're trying to find, like, the campsite, right?
Yep.
But we're trying not to get too close to shore because there are rocks everywhere.
Yep.
And there's only certain beaches that have clearings to not hit a rock. And then, like Just said, kelp fields. So what happens, bro? Because I'll never forget that moment and the look on your guys' faces.
Yeah, we were praying a lot because there was a lot of pressure. Like, Justin, you're driving. Do not screw this up. If you fall, it's going to be really hard to get 3 dudes back on a jet ski, especially at night. So
I'm praying in tongues over Justin the entire time.
I think we were all praying in the spirit. So we finally are looking for this spot. We think we see it. We we don't. And then eventually we get to, this is the moment you're talking about. We get to the very end of the island. We passed our campsite. We thought, we thought we would see it. And we totally got to the very end.
And when you look on the screensaver that Mac has,
that's what we saw.
So the very tip of that island, guys, we came around that tip, and then we realized we were in complete open ocean.
It was complete, like, we were no longer covered by the island. We just saw the full.
And guys, we're also, like, on the inside of the island. So, like, we're on Catalina, the side facing California. The western side of the island's even rougher. It's getting hammered right now by a storm. So we have huge waves, but they're not as big as. So when we come around, the waves all of a sudden get bigger, and it's dark. It's dark, dude. It was like I could barely even see the outline of the island at that moment. Like, the sun has been set for like 30 minutes, and it's that last little glimmer of light over the ocean, and we all look at each other, and it's like
we've never felt so vulnerable because we don't know how much gas is in the tank left. We don't know if we're even going to find it. We don't know if we're going to hit something, and we just failed our first opportunity to try to find it.
Yeah, like, we missed it. We passed our campsite, and then turning the jet ski around. You did that. How hard was that with 3 dudes?
I think the most difficult part was just like, Justin, don't tip it over. Don't tip it over. I'm like, I am doing everything I can, like, to not tip it over because it's you want one shot. So fortunately, was not able to tip it over, and finally we found our spot.
And it was cool, guys. I gotta say, like, we have to give credit to God because it's dark. We can't tell where our campsite is, and
there's no markers, there's no lights.
I think we had a moment where we all stopped because we were a little panicked, and if I remember right, we even stopped kind of moving. We were just kind of idling. Didn't we all pray, like, together?
I know we were praying, and I know we prayed to find that, but I'm quite sure I did not take off the idol. We had to.
Well, you had to have some idol.
Yeah, or else
and maybe it was
fallen.
me and Noah, but I just remember this moment of, like, God, we know that you're going to show us a campsite. We know you're going to get us there, and supernaturally, dude, we just happened to come right across. We just happened to make it to the campsite. And, like, I don't think you guys understand, like, out of all the little coves, it was like finding a needle in the dark. Finding a needle in a haystack in the dark is what it felt like.
It was really a miracle. So we ended up pulling up, and we had a strategy. Hey, let's just try to pull up quick. And then 2 people jump out of the jet ski. I'll hold on to the jet ski so that the waves would not throw it and, like, just trample the jet ski, because this was our one good jet ski. This is our lifeline. So you guys jumped out. I was holding onto the jet ski.
In waves.
In waves, like right at the breaking point, just before the breaking point. And I'm like up to my neck holding onto this jet ski. And I'm just like, hey guys, just go and clear a path really quick. There's a few big rocks that are there. Just move them out of the way. And then we could all, together move this jet ski up. And I thought that would take like 4 or 5 minutes.
How long did it take?
Oh man, I think it was like 15. I'm just literally out there. And then all I know is they were moving some rocks. All of a sudden they moved maybe to get something. And then I don't see them.
Yeah. So
and I'm just like yelling, hey.
I would like to take a moment to say we've all gone 40 hours probably without food, right? Like we're fasted and life's been pretty tough at this point. And me and Noah go up there and I'm like, let's just shine a light up the trail we're going to do. Let's move all the big rocks we can and create a runway and have Justin run the jet ski up part the way. And then we'll carry it the rest of the way.
Then they wanted to have a strategy session.
Well, then me and my friend Noah got in an argument because he wanted to do it a different way. And we're very irritated at this point. And we totally forgot that our other friend Justin was in the water,
like yelling, dying. Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on? There's no communication whatsoever. And I'm like, this sucks.
So anyways, Noah finally aligns with my strategy, which worked, by the way. And that one of the cool things happened that night, though, because you're very frustrated at that point. But the synchronicity that we got into was pretty cool because that jet ski was still heavy. And we were able to move that as a team all the way up, farther than we ever moved one yet that night to make sure it was safe. It wasn't going to get washed away faster than I even thought humanly possible with our strength.
Yeah, we definitely hacked it where we got on one side of the jet ski. We all lifted it up, moved it as far up on the hill as we could, dropped it, then just cinched it the other way, got the other end. And we got all the way up there and we slept by, just to fast forward, we slept by the campfire. It was just drizzling at this point, but we slept outside.
We did.
In our sleeping bags, open stars, like saw some shooting stars, amazing, had such peace. And then the next morning we just rode back, which the three of us on the jet ski with the gear, there was no way we can do that. So one of us had to jump out. So we just elected Cody, hey, you're going to jump off and swim to the island and, a different spot. Cause we were going and we're like,
I forgot about this.
So we just told them, hey man, we have to let somebody go.
Because we had all the gear and 3 dudes on one jet ski and it wasn't working well. Yeah. So I got left on the island and guys, I had this little pack. I had some of the gear and I'm sitting against this rock and I felt like I was in Castaway and I didn't know if you guys were ever going to come back, bro. I was there for a couple hours and voices start
maybe it was 45 minutes, an hour, but it could have seemed longer.
It felt like a couple hours, bro. And I was like, what happened? And I didn't have water. I had zero water, zero phone. Oh, and we left out the detail how I lost all my money first day.
It was in the other jet ski and the Noah's keys to his truck were in there. Yeah, all that stuff.
So all this adversity, and I want to get to some other things, but we'll shorten this story up, tell you guys that we did end up getting back and Noah took the good jet ski and towed the other one. Me and Justin took the ferry back over and we bonded so much through this with Wojtek. What should have cost how much money?
It should have cost a lot more. He was able to restore the engine, flushing out the salt water in the engine, got it to run. We got quoted so much more money that it was totaled. He fixed everything. We came up with an insane deal. I'll just say this. We negotiated and we got down to $6,000. So $2,000
and
each.
We were looking at potentially just having to buy him a new one.
Yes.
So dropping 18, 20 G's on a new jet ski. We still had to deal with that, guys, and the damage on the other one because the other one was damaged a little too. And God just showed up $6,000. And it was one of those moments too where we were all just thankful to be alive, thankful we made out of it, thankful that he showed up for us. And just every friend came up with their $2,000 and we just took care of it.
And what's cool is Wojtek, after talking to him, he said, man, hope you guys got the breakthrough you were looking for. But he said, hey, by the way, he really respected our integrity to know that we weren't going to just leave. We were going to take care of this and not just lie about it. So when we were on the island, we were able to get his number and tell him we're going to take care of it. We're going to figure it out together.
Yeah, we communicated with him through the whole thing.
And then when we got there, I remember after we paid him, he said, hey, are you guys using this to write off any taxes or something? I said, no. He goes, I think in the bill, I overcharged you $500 for taxes or something. And I just remember, and I remember speaking to either you or Noah, and I just knew, I spoke with one of you and then realized the other one was going to be okay with this. We said, Wojtek, we want you to keep that 500.
Yeah.
Just spend it on yourselves, go on a date. But we want to honor you for just being so understanding with us in this situation. And, he was blown away. He just couldn't believe that we were nice enough to do that. And to this day, we're still friends. And
you just talked to him a few days ago.
Yeah.
And you're going to rent a jet ski from him.
Or a friend. So anyway, if you can just stick to being a man or woman of integrity, do the right thing, you can have one of the best times of your life that you'll remember, and also, be a witness to other people and remind them that, hey, there are good people out there.
Yeah. So guys, this was different, I know, for the show, and we truly did find peace in the midst of chaos. And Justin Maina, if you guys haven't got that by now, is my guest today. That's the longest 40-minute intro I've ever had in the life of podcast.
Let's do a quick 15 minutes.
I said, we'll talk about the story for 15 minutes, 45 minutes later. But man, I want to take a moment to honor you. Dude, you're one of my best friends. I love you so much, man. You're such a leader. You're such a champion. What you do with helping people overcome their fears, just the way that you show up, the integrity that you have, the heart that you lead with. You're one of the best men that I know, and I only surround myself with the best people that make my life better. Justin Maina is one of those people, so welcome officially to the Cody Cottle Show.
Oh, thank you so much, man. What an intro, man. It's an honor to be here, be one of your friends, and to be able to, even just the impact that we had at Emerge, it was an honor to be a part of that with you.
Yeah, he helped me lead a team of 44 men this year at a Christian men's conference that 3,000 men were at. We just had radical breakthrough. Men got saved. Men gave their life to Jesus. Men broke off burdens and things in their life they've been struggling with their entire life. And when I say he's a leader and I say he's a champion, I truly mean that. And I look forward to doing a lot more stuff like that with you, bro.
Thank you. One thing I don't think we ever expected was, after being battered and bruised from all the competitions and being sleep deprived and being in 30, 40 degree weather, raining, the whole day, that the last day we would be praying till 3 a.m, 5.5 hours. Like, it was insane.
Yeah, me and Justin stayed up praying for men till 3 a.m. And when my friend showed me it was 3 a.m., I could not believe it. The way the Holy Spirit showed up that night was incredible, bro.
Yeah, and just the thing was, I was just grateful that we were a part of something like that, because, your flesh is not always going to feel like that, but you knew the greater impact was to be able to serve the people there that were expecting a breakthrough.
And what about thinking about things like Catalina Island, the story we shared this morning, with how that was preparing us for moments like that, to have endurance to go through hard things and still be able to show up in the way we were able to.
Oh yeah, we just got right back to that campsite. I was hungry, and I knew other people were going to be eating.
We didn't eat.
No, we didn't.
Yeah, so there's a lot we could go into. But Justin, I want to get into you, bro, because I want to honor you on the show. Justin Maina is the fear hunter. He's a former ninja warrior. He's a business owner. He's an entrepreneur. He helps people overcome their fears. He has his own show. Justin, tell us what it means to be a fear hunter. What does that mean to you? What do you do? Help the audience understand.
Well, not really being limited by fear. So if you have fear in your life, you don't have to submit to being a slave to it. I do believe that we've been given the opportunity to have dominion and authority over any fear in our life.
Yeah.
And if you want to truly live a free life, you're not going to have fear. God has said he's not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and of a sound mind. And perfect love casts out all fear. And I believe that's Jesus. And when you tie who you are to him, you realize fear doesn't have to be there. But the beginning of wisdom is fearing the Lord. So if you give that fear to God, just like it's like a respectable fear, like you would have toward a kid should fear his parents,
right, knowing
that there's authority, there's protection, there's a respect. It's not the same fear as like fearing like something that can hurt you. There's a difference there. But anyway, once you realize that there's freedom, you just have to ask yourself, do you want it? Are you willing to trust God more than you trust your own feelings? And you can experience that.
That's so good. And one thing I always tell myself is, on the other side of your fears, Cody, is everything that you want in life. As a young man, I was so afraid of so many things, and life threw me so many tough circumstances. And I remember being young, dude. I remember I was probably 12, 13 years old. I don't remember the exact circumstance, but I remember having this thought process then. There were some things I was afraid of that I overcame, and on the other side of it, I was like, wow, I would have never gotten here had I not overcome that fear. And growing up as an adult, I remember public speaking, I was so terrified, but I knew I was called to it. And then I would muster up the courage to grab the mic, to walk up on stage, to speak what was put on my heart. And that feeling afterwards of how amazing that was, knowing the impact I made, but knowing had I not overcome that fear of being in front of people, of being a fraud, of looking this way, of messing up, of being a failure, I was afraid of that. And what others would think of me, I would have never done what I was supposed to do. How do you feel like that plays in people's lives?
As you were speaking, I just thought of this. I think the reason why people are afraid of public speaking is because it exposes whether or not you've truly overcome that fear.
Wow.
Because when you speak about something, you're exposed. And I believe people, we all know that we can spot out somebody who's a phony or not.
Yeah.
So when you speak about something, is it coming from a place of something you've experienced and truly experienced a shift in, or is it something that you're just kind of hoping that you can maybe seem like an authority figure on?
And you do a lot of cool stuff. I see it all the time. So just so you know, Justin's a guy that gets up on the thing overlooking the ledge that's like 300 feet and does a backflip or a handstand. But I have this memory I'll never forget. We're in Palm Springs.
Palm Springs, yes.
We're attending an event, and I'm driving back with Justin. That was one of the coolest drives of my life. He's got his, Corvette or is that what you call it with the top down? Convertible.
The convertible.
It wasn't a Corvette, but it was a car that was a convertible, sorry. And so the top's down, wind blowing, and we're having all this fun. And we pull off to this outlook, and if you guys ever been to Palm Springs, beautiful city in the middle of the desert, mountains all around it. And there's like this giant outlook like overlooking this valley in Palm Springs. And we pull over to look at the outlook and get out of the car. And I'll never forget you, bro. There's like two 70-something, 80-something-year-old ladies there, and we're like getting up on this, like, it's like one of those big cement ledges. It's probably like 3 feet wide, like railing type ledge out of cement, like very nice. And we're like standing on, Justin's doing like handstands and stuff. And these ladies make this comment, what did they said like, something about, to be young again, or something around like youth and being able to do that.
And what I read between the lines were, they would love to do this too.
So guys, he goes down and he's like, would you like to get up there?
And Cody's just like, no.
Bro, and I'm the guy that's thinking liability, risk, like, I'm like, no, bro. And he's like talking to, and she's like, oh no, I'm too old. And Justin's like, no, you're not. You can overcome your fears. I'll go up there with you. I'll help you.
You were so embarrassed.
And I'm like, kind of like, dude, we would die, bro, if we fall. And like, I don't want to be the ones on the news tomorrow because we get some 80-year-old ladies to get up on this ledge and fall like 400 feet to their death off a cliff. And Justin's like, no, it's going to be great. I'm going to be there with you the whole time. I'll hold your hand. I'll help you up there. And next thing I'm like, all right, well, I need help with this. Like, I need to help be a security like wall with this lady so she doesn't fall. Dude, you helped that 80-something-year-old lady get up, stand up there. And then her friend, we got up there.
Because she was afraid. She wanted to see her friend do it. And then it gave her enough courage to realize, if my friend's doing it, maybe I can do it too.
Yeah, one was like, no way. And Justin's just like, you can overcome your fears. Like, I'm here to help you. Like, nothing's going to happen. You're safe. And it was actually, when I got over feeling uncomfortable, a really beautiful moment. Dude, you helped those ladies, and we got them up there, and we have a picture, maybe I can share it or something, we have a picture, like a selfie of all of us, of these two older ladies, Justin and I, thousands of feet up on this cliff overlooking this valley. That was a cool memory, dude.
It was beautiful. I mean, I'm just so passionate whenever I see a limitation, and I realize what could be, and they're just stuck in not seeing that because of whatever limiting belief or feeling like they're too old to experience something like that. So anyway, we all have a certain calling on our life, and that definitely is my lane, because I know what it's like to be crippled by fear, to feel insecure, to feel passive. But what if we can be a part of shifting something? And what I would challenge anybody who's watching is, look at somebody in your life that you see them experiencing freedom. You can have that too. Surround yourself with them, ask them questions, and fact check that with what you believe, and then just start finding out what that process looks like. And then, there's a whole process I go through.
Well, take us through the process, bro.
So, okay, all right. Well, this will be a 3-hour. No, we'll make it. So for me, I have 3 steps. It's very simple. And the first thing I do is pray for discernment to find out, hey, is this something that I should do, or is it maybe wise for me to not do something? So I first just submit and say, God, if I'm doing something wrong, let me know. And that's it. And you'll know. And sometimes you may not hear from God. And I look at that as
how do you discern between, for some people, I know I'm very in tune. How do people discern between it's a fear that they need to overcome and it's truly something that they just shouldn't do?
I personally believe it's so simple. God's given you dominion over the earth. So if it produces freedom or something you want to do, just go for it and do it.
So you measure that by the freedom on the other side.
I do.
If I overcome this, what freedom will I have?
Yes.
I like that.
Yeah. And knowing that nobody can make you do it. It's up to you. If you want to do it, you should do it. And then I back that up by basically, I have a childlike faith. God, if it's not something you want me to do, give me a big red flag. But if he doesn't answer, I'm going to go ahead and do it. Like a lot of people just wait for God to speak to them to do something. So they're this ship who is not being steered because they're not making forward momentum. You need to move, and then it'll show you something. But people a lot of times are afraid of failure, and it sucks to fail. But if you can shift that perspective and realize there's something you can learn from it, and it's to remind you that you're not a perfect person. You're going to make mistakes, but it makes you more relatable. So if you can learn to embrace that, it changes everything. So that's the first step. Pray about it. The second step is to speak life into that situation. In the beginning, God gives you the tree of life and the tree of good and evil. And it's just like the tree of life is something that's it's fresh. It's full of life. You don't always have to understand everything. Good and evil is also broken down as like a spectrum of all knowledge. We don't have to understand everything. So I like to just speak life into any situation I'm in. Like if I had to speak on stage, I would say, Justin, you are capable of this. There's something that you're meant to teach. Yeah. You are a man of integrity. You are excited about doing this. You have what it takes. You are God's masterpiece. Whatever it is, I just start speaking words of life into that situation.
Speaking life over you instead of death.
Correct. Or, this could happen, or this is wrong, this is right. Speak life into that. That's what good. I do.
I like that.
And then
I do that, and it's changed my life.
Yeah, and it's more than just positive thinking, but you do have the power of life or death in your tongue. Even if you don't speak it, the thoughts in your mind of, I'm never going to be good at this. I suck at this. There I am again. I'm horrible at names. You're speaking death into your situation, and there's no hope in that. So that's the second thing. The third and final thing I do is paint a vision of what it would look like if I actually did do that thing. Like it's freedom. It's like, wow, I actually did. This would be the best day in the world if I did this. Yeah. But here's the thing. You have to choose. Do you want that freedom, or do you want to be able to live in the justification of, this is dangerous. I might get out of this relationship if she doesn't take it the right way. I might be fired. Or, I could possibly die or whatever. I mean, these are legitimate things to think about. But at the end of the day, for me, I want to live a life of freedom. And I know if God would ever ask me to do something which might involve me overcoming my worst fear, I want to be willing to say, yes, I'm willing to show up. And that involves me giving up my tie to money, giving up my tie to relationships, and giving up my tie to even my own life, my own feelings. You have to be willing to die to your feelings in order to be prepared to walk a life of freedom. And it's easier said than done, but surround yourself with people who've experienced that and realize you don't have to be the pioneer. Allow people to help you along the way. And that's like the biggest breath of fresh air. But there will be a time that I believe that everybody in their life will be asked to overcome something that will seem like the hardest thing in the world to do. But if you submit yourself to the process and say, God, I trust you, and I trust that faith will win this battle over this fear. And you're only going to really know that if you let your hands go and allow them to fight. And if you can put your faith in knowing that God's got you, that will win. It will totally win.
Yeah, dude, that's so good, man. And I love the framework that you gave us and laid out. And one time I had a very near and dear friend of mine tell me, and even a mentor in my life, a voice in my life, he said, Cody, one day everything will be asked of you. And I think about fear because I don't know if anybody's heard the acronym, like fear is false evidence appearing real. Mm-hmm. And I feel like so much in life, fear is the very thing that paralyzes us from being ready for the moment when it comes to do the great things that we're called to do in our lives. And I just think, man, like how many people in the world right now, maybe even you listening, how many times in your life have you felt crippled by fear? In a moment you knew you were called to, that there was the freedom that Justin spoke about on the other side. But because the fear was present, you didn't develop the courage to overcome it. Someone once told me courage is doing what you know you need to do even when fear is still present. So I would say you're very courageous because you continuously overcome fear in your life. And you gave us a framework that's amazing, Justin, but you weren't always good at overcoming fear, right? You
Correct.
were crippled by it. You found courage in your life. How did you find the courage to keep overcoming your fears?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because people look at me and go, oh, wow, an American Ninja Warrior athlete, a guy's doing handstand and bringing 80-year-olds on a cliff. Like, that's amazing. It's just the way he is, and that's not the way I am. I remember watching somebody do a backflip off a tree and thinking, that's amazing. I would love to do that, but there's no way I can do that. I just believe that if somebody else can do something, I may not know how to get there, so that must mean that, well, I guess I'm never meant to be there. Until I had enough positive encouragement through some mentors speak into my life and remind me that there is a lot of freedom that you can have if you get over your feelings, and then back that up with facts. So one of my biggest fears, there were two big ones: overcoming the fear of doing a backflip. And it took me a long time. It took me literally 2 years to do that, because I just had so much fear. But once I overcame that, I realized this doesn't have to take so long. So then I started realizing, well, if this is possible, one of the things that I never thought was possible, I could maybe overcome my fear of sharks, and eventually overcame that. And the biggest lesson I learned from overcoming my fear of sharks, we probably don't have time to get into that, but I remember having to face my fear, realizing I may possibly die facing this, but I wanted a life of freedom way more than living the rest of my life knowing I will never know what it's like to truly be free, to truly trust God and knowing that He can help me overcome my fear. But I could not do it on my own. There's no way, because somebody could offer me $1 million to jump off my canal at midnight and swim across. I'm like, there's no way I would do that, because I valued my life. But I knew that there was so much freedom that I would never taste in life if I didn't do it then. I knew it. And that's not to say that, hey, you need to do the craziest thing to overcome your fears. No, but if God puts something in your heart to overcome, or if you want freedom in that, go for it. Do it. Surround yourself with people who've experienced that. Ask them what it takes to do it. That's become my mission, to help people overcome fear, step out of complacency, and see that full potential that we all have the possibility of doing. It's just, do you really want it? And what I learned from that is the goal in life is not to be fearless. That's impossible, in my opinion. Now, maybe a Navy SEAL can jump out in the water and think nothing of it. That wasn't me, but I realized I did the thing that I was terrified of doing. It was my worst fear. And what I learned from that is, if I had to do it again, that'd be just as scary. And I thought, wow, well, I just wasted my time. This sucks. But then I realized something spoke up inside me, which I believe is the Holy Spirit, reminding me, hey, Justin, the fact that you were willing to do that afraid means more than doing it fearless. You've just proven that you've put your trust in God's hands. So I truly got to experience, for the first time in my life, putting my life in God's hands and knowing that God can be strong in my greatest weakness. I was so weak. I was so, like, there was a point where I'm like swimming and I was so weak. My feet were dangling and I was so exhausted, swimming so slow. But I realized, God, you're the only person that could possibly help me here. I can't just hit a button and say, all right, I give up.
And for those that are listening and wondering about this, Justin was scared of swimming with sharks, and at midnight in the middle of the dark. How long of a swim was that?
I would say,
like, distance-wise.
Man, it's hard. I need to figure that out. I would say maybe 150 meters or something. I just know it was a good amount of time to swim there. The first swim was great because I swam like Michael Phelps, just swimming as fast as I could. But on the way
there and back?
I swam there.
So
I swam
middle
to
of the
other side.
night with sharks, guys, in Florida. He swam across an open canal.
And this same body of water was the same. It was the Boca Sega Bay in Tampa Bay, Florida. And 10 years prior to this, and everybody in Tampa Bay knows this story. This man used to jump off his dock daily. And in the daytime, he jumped off and jumped onto a bull shark, because bull sharks are in there.
I remember seeing that video.
And he was killed. So bull sharks are in there. And he did it in the day. I'm having to do it at night. I'm thinking, man, I may possibly jump on this bull shark. But I realized if I were to get in slowly, that would be, that would be.
So you did it, and you swam across the canal, and that set something free in you facing that. But what I love you said is, even afterwards, you realized you'd be just as afraid doing 100%. It again. But if you were fearless, it wouldn't have been the same as doing it with the fear still there.
No, because I think everybody has to get to a point where they are not a slave to things. They're not a slave to fear. They're not a slave to, like I was saying, money. They don't have to fear money. They don't have to fear a relationship. What if they just spoke their mind? What if they trusted who God said they were and spoke how they felt?
Wow.
That you wouldn't have to fear a relationship not working out. What if God wanted you to say something that allowed that person to break up with you? And then they realized, oh, wow, God got them to a certain point where they can shift and reach back out to you and apologize for something. Or maybe that person wasn't meant to be. Or maybe if I never jumped off that dock and swam across, there's no way I think I would have the same mission.
Wow.
There's no way.
What would you say to the person right now that going through life knows fear has held them back from a lot of great moments in their life? They're still crippled by it. They're playing comfortable in their comfort zone. They're not someone that's very good at getting outside of their comfort zone. What would you say to that individual?
I would say, think about why you're here. Think about why you are here for other people. And most importantly, think about why you know or why you think God wants you here and why He wants you to be successful. Because the way you're currently living your life, I think is just settling. And you have every bit of control to live a comfortable life or an epic life. And if you look at some people who have really shifted some things in this world, they are used to being able to look past fear and confront it. They're not afraid of failing a million times. Those are common traits that I've seen in people that are very successful and free. They have joy in their life. But if you have any bit of fear, it's going to eat away at you like a cancer. That's why people, when they get older, they're like, oh, they're afraid of everything because they haven't conquered that. I want to be a person who lives all the days of my life, even at the old age of really, I don't know if I can make it through this cobblestone marketplace, but maybe if I hold your hand, I can. Just be willing to trust in people and the Lord more than yourself. And that's it. That's giving up your fear, saying something could happen.
Yeah, and I just want to add, the only thing I'll add is imagine what your life would look like if you weren't held back by that fear and what would be possible. Life then becomes limitless when you do that. And I think that's amazing. So Justin, what's next for you in your journey of being the fear hunter, of helping people overcome their fear? And I know we also didn't talk about this much, but you are a former Ninja Warrior, faced fears there, competed, all of that. So just want to throw that out there. But for you, man, what I really want to know is what is God calling you to with all of this?
So the first thing I want to do is kind of throw it back to other people. Before I share what I'm doing now, I want to encourage you, every single person has a purpose that can impact the world. And what I mean by that is God may only want you to impact 3 very specific people that most people couldn't even get in touch with. And those 3 people can be a part of the bigger picture. Just focus on what's in front of you and steward that well and pour everything you can into those people, even if it doesn't seem like it's making a big difference. So I just want to encourage you with that. So you don't have to be this world-renowned speaker or anything like that. Yeah. But what I feel called to do is to have a show. This is like my big dream.
Yeah, tell us. Come on, man.
So,
even if you're scared of it.
Okay. All right. So here's the concept. The Fear Hunter Show. I've shot a few episodes, and it would be to travel to different cities, different countries, different villages around the world, and find out what life looks like for them. Find out how we can enhance that by producing more freedom in that area, and seeing what could happen, to seeing if they're open to allowing me to help them overcome their fear. And for me, the Holy Spirit's the powerhouse behind that. But I believe God's given me eyesight to see people who are afraid of something and give them steps to start conquering. So they start believing in themselves to realize, wow, if that's possible, what else is possible?
Yeah.
And so just to give you an example, I can tell you one of my previous episodes was just this man who was older, this 88-year-old black man, and I'll never forget him. His name's David. And I remember approaching him, asking him, has he ever asked anybody for money? Has he ever had a fear of asking people for money? And he said, well, when I was 6 or 7, there was a man that he asked for 25 cents. And he, the other man told him, get off your lazy ass, like earn it yourself. He's like, from this day forward, he was never going to ask anybody for money. And I instantly knew that he was highlighted so that he could be the example of asking people for money, so that it would show other people what would happen if you actually did ask people for money. But that would confront his old trigger. So I said, hey, David, I really do believe God put this on my heart for you to ask people for 25 cents and ask 10 random people. But the goal is to get rejected. He said, no way. You give me $100, give me $1,000. There's no way I'm going to do that. I said, do you believe that perfect love casts out all fear? And he said, I do. I said, I know you're more motivated by love than you are of money. And he said he agrees. I said, what I want you to do is I want you to take this $100 and I want you to give it to whoever you feel led to give that to. Maybe it's somebody who rejects you, or maybe it's somebody who was kind enough to give you the 25 cents.
So he's asking first for 25 cents.
Yep.
And then depending on whatever happens, he also has the freedom. So if they gave him 25 cents, he could actually bless him back with $100.
Yes. And he said for that reason, he'll do it. Whereas before he wasn't going to do it, but now he's more motivated somehow to do that. So I gave him the $100 and watched from a distance. And the first 3 or 4 people, they all gave him money. And at that point, he started breaking down crying. And I walked up to him and said, hey man, what's going on? And he said, I can't believe how nice people are, especially these white guys. He had no idea. He's 88 years old, 88-year-old black man, and he's been through a lot. There's no way he would have expected that. He was blown away. And I said, hey man, this is great. But hey, we still got 10 rejections to go through. So anyway, he eventually ended up giving this man $100. He was blessed by it. It was his first day in California.
Wow.
And also, we got to the point where it was now my turn. I would never ask somebody to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. So he was super stoked about that. He's like, oh my gosh, this is great. I want to watch you do this now. I said, you want me to do it alone? Do you want me to sit off to the other side of the bench? He said, no, you can sit off to the other side of the bench. So I mic'd myself up and had to go through it. I got rejected 10 times in a row.
Oh my God.
Not one person was willing. Whenever I end up doing these challenges, like this one guy was afraid of rejection, I always get the worst of it. I remember having to ask, I asked this guy, quick tangent, I asked this guy on the fear of rejection to get rejected 10 times by women. There's a reason for this, but he had better luck than I did. I got rejected, man, it was awful. It was awful. So anyway, but it's just, nobody likes being rejected. Nobody likes asking for money, but what could happen from that? And the cool thing is this, yeah, it sucked to be rejected by asking somebody for money, but something great came from it. Once I got rejected 10 times, the greater thing that came from that was David realized this has nothing to do with the color of our skin at all.
Wow.
He said, there's no way. You're a good looking dude. Like you sounded genuine, like you needed some money, and everybody rejected you. And they were nice enough to me.
You broke off that limiting belief that he's carried his entire life.
Yeah, and I had no idea that it would yield that. But all I knew is he was highlighted and to push forward, even after he said no. But I knew there was a greater purpose. And the thing is, he said he will never forget that day in his life. 88 years old, one of the most impactful moments. He said, I will never forget that. And he's done a lot of hard things in life. He even showed me a book of very influential black African-American men. He was in that. He was featured in this book. He showed us afterward, took a picture of it. He's done a lot of hard things in life. He said, this was a very hard thing. So whatever it is that you have to overcome, it's going to be hard, but it really does help to know that you could be a part of somebody else's breakthrough if you care enough.
That's so cool.
So that was just something.
Where can we find the show when it comes out?
So I'm partnering up with some people right now to find the right media team, the right team to possibly pitch this to some networks, or maybe we have our own app like The Chosen where it's accessible free like it would be on YouTube, but people maybe sponsor it and say, hey, your episode was sponsored by Cody Cottle. So I don't know where that is, but I just know this is on my heart and I want to impact the world through inspiring people what it would look like to overcome a fear that you have, but watching somebody else do it.
Wow. So how can we support you in making this dream come true?
I would say if this resonates with you, reach out to me, send me a DM on Instagram, or reach out to Cody and let me know how you could possibly help, how you want to be a part of this, and I can let you know what we have, a pitch deck showing what the vision is, how we plan to fund this, and what it's going toward. That would be great, because this is something, if I can do one thing, this would be it. And I want to encourage you guys to not settle for a backup plan. Do the one thing that you really feel in your heart God's anointed you to do, and just see what happens.
And we're going to help you do it. So where do we connect with you at? How do we find you on social media? How do we get plugged in and help Justin make his dream come true of helping people overcome their fears all around the world?
Oh, I'm stoked for this. Thank you. I would say Instagram for right now. There's a lot of other things that are soon to be built, but I would say Instagram, Justin Maina Official, because this guy from Kenya took Justin Maina already. It's supposedly a popular tribe in Kenya. and he took that. So during the time of creating an Instagram, I thought I'll go official.
Justin Maina, yes. Maina official.
Yes.
Okay, Justin Maina official. Guys, let's go help Justin make his dream become reality. I want to challenge you. If you had a fear you want to overcome, message Justin, talk to him about it. And I just want to end the show as we wrap things up, honoring you, saying thank you for helping us learn how to overcome our fears, for going on adventures with me, help me overcome my fears. Like
the first of many. First of many.
We're working on a new one, guys, at 2.0. There will be a Catalina 2.0, but we might do something even crazier. Justin told me about the other day that I'm so scared I don't even know if I want to say it on the show.
Maybe you should say it. Maybe if you don't do that, you'll do something else.
What was it? What'd you call it?
I think it's a masagi or...
A masagi.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is what?
Comes from like a Japanese ritual where they believe that once a year, you need to do something so difficult that there's probably a high chance of failure. But if you were to do it, whether you succeed or not, I think of like the man in the arena, Winston Churchill. It doesn't matter if you win or succeed, win or fail. You've actually done the thing. You're going through something so difficult that it'll teach you something that'll carry you out throughout the entire year with the lesson that you learned from it.
So we're going to do a masagi. We'll document it too. We're going to create some epic content out of it. But I just want to encourage the audience, guys. Every single one of us have things that we're afraid of. Still today, I have fears that I have to conquer every single day. And like Justin said, those fears never go away. Every time I step onto a stage, every time I go to do a podcast like this, every time I go out in a business venture, or whether it's relational or whatever it is, there's always fear to a level still present. And I think you do get conditioned and you start to see the freedom on the other side, and you start to find the courage to just focus on the freedom versus the fear and the emotions that come with it. But I want to encourage you guys, whatever the fears are that holding you back, I hope this episode inspired you. I hope Justin and our story and Catalina and what he's done and how he's helping people inspired you to want to overcome the things that are crippling you from the freedom that God has on the other side. Anything else you want to add before we wrap?
Yeah, I'll ask you this. You guys may have heard this before, but if you had a dog that represented faith and you had a dog that represented fear, and they went into a fight, who would win that fight?
Faith.
Why would faith win?
Because it believes it can.
Actually, that's not the answer. What would win is the dog that you would feed more. So if you feed fear and just give that room to reign in your life.
Well, I didn't know we had food involved.
Yeah. Well, I always like to be right here. So, no. So, but it's just whoever. Thank you very much. But yes, that's great, man. Whatever you feed more. So feed faith, and that will absolutely win. So yeah.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. We'll definitely have to have you back, guys. Go connect with Justin. Go overcome some fear. And as always, go make today great.